Kyle, thank you so much for joining me today for a special conversation on healthy boundaries in the workplace. And now more than ever, there are so many options because we have the added layer of working from home. Not all jobs lend themselves to that, but so many jobs do. So, as an undergrad at Rutgers University, you studied public health and you also worked at Rutgers Office of Information Technology. So, that's the tech department of the university. You were there for 5 years, starting out as a consultant and then promoted to a supervisor. Then, after college, master's in public health, which you just finished up earlier this year. And you also worked, and now you're working full time for Merck doing project management. I want you to talk a little bit more about that because I know it also relates to technology.
When I started the position, it was completely remote, as it was still January 2021, and it was before most of the vaccinations had gotten out, and we were completely remote. And as of July 12th was actually our return to work. So, colleagues had the option to come into the office if they wanted, and teams could start, collaborating in those in-person spaces. And essentially for me, I've been doing essentially a 1 day a week for the past a few months. Usually I meet with my team and, get to meet with other colleagues. And it's 1 day a week, and the other four are completely remote.
Based on your personality, your motivation, does a fully remote environment or this 4-to-1 ratio work really well for you? Or do you miss being in the company of other people?
Really for me, both could apply. I do really love the flexibility, but some days it's just like, man, like I wish, like, I was in the office, or I was working with others. And I do think it's a new way of working, in the sense that you have to change your mindset about how you work with others. I notice, for me at least, when I'm remote, if I set up meetings or like one-on-ones, I will have our cameras on, and it helps, right? So I do think there is a balance, but at least for now, I think I'm in a comfortable place with regard to working remotely, just because we've been doing it for so long. Reaching out, really go a long way, like with making it seem, more real and more fluid. When you're ready to go back to the office, and you're in person, you don't have that awkward like level of, just so like, I haven't done this in so long, because you're used to it. You've spoken to this person every day. You've seen their face on the screen.
Since we are speaking about healthy boundaries when we're working from home, what are unhealthy boundaries too? So what do you consider unhealthy scenarios when it comes to working from home and healthy scenarios when it comes to working from home?
To start, I'd like to frame it, just like as a student coming out of university, as you're constantly on the go, right? When you leave class, you have homework, you have projects, and you just have extracurriculars, and you're always going. So for me, coming into a full-time job, it was really tough, because even after the workday ended, I almost had the mindset of, oh, like, what do I do now? I've never had so much free time. And for me, that healthy balance really came out of a sense of just understanding myself and saying, okay, well, I'm not really like having fun outside of work, and I want to keep working. And that's not healthy. And like a healthy balance, I'd say in general, is when your workday ends, you just are saying, okay, just making that effort to say, hey, I'm not going to like pick my computer back up. I'm going to do my best not to think of work, and just separate yourself. And I think that's especially important when you're working remotely, right? Because your environment is mostly the same, right? Your home is your office. And then after, work, it has to be your home again, in your personal space. So, by you making that effort and, doing that, I think it's a start. There's other things in there, like, separating where you work in your house, and things of that nature that you can definitely do to make it a more of a, to just, I guess, like a seamless transition. But yeah, I do agree that just like with the constant work. And it's very easy to like answer an email very late in the day, right? Just because you have nothing else to do, but you just have to remind yourself that, this is my time, and I'm picking it back up tomorrow morning, right?
One of the important things that I appreciate about what you're saying is you're just pressing pause for now on this. It's not like you're neglecting, but somehow we can get tricked into thinking that we have to do this right now. This has to get done right now. And are you like this? Like, I don't like the numbers of notifications going up for me. I don't like seeing 100 unanswered emails. Like that makes me insane. So I want to take care of them very quickly. But I have learned, especially as those numbers get bigger with more projects, sometimes you just have to let things go and prioritize. Do you have any struggles at all with workaholism, or have you been able to separate easily and pour yourself and be present in other areas of your life?
I've had struggles. It's I think it's interesting for just someone in like my shoes, a university student, right? On one day, and then a few months later, you're working full time. Because I think a lot of those habits cross over into your full time work, right? And it's very easy to continue, working after your day is done. But I'd say with regard to workaholism, it's just something that you really have to be completely honest with yourself and say, hey, I know I went over an extra hour, right, of my work day. Like, hey, like I know I picked my computer up on the weekend. I was checking my email on my phone right when I was like just walking through the store and things like that. Like I said, they do add up, and I think it's important to identify it, um, and then you can really work through it. And also just asking people in your life, hey, like, do you think I'm a workaholic? That's a good point to start too, because usually they can tell, right? And just with the remote work, and like how like available like are you, right, to those other aspects of your life. And when you're off the clock, are you doing as much as you want to? Are you feeling fulfilled, right? Those are all like I think key signs, right, that you can kind of say, okay, well, maybe I can do a little bit better, or maybe I can separate myself more.
Getting on board with awareness and healthy boundaries and being present, having fun in your outside of work is critical to your health overall, because we have to be happy in and out of work. We have to feel good about ourselves in all of these areas. So what are things that make you happy outside of work, Kyle?
With fall, being here, just going out on walks. I think that's a very easy way to separate yourself throughout the day, right? With like more things being opened up, I've been able to go out to museums, right? And just like do things that like earlier in the pandemic just weren't possible. And you really, I think, you should have like a hobby too that you can do at home. For me, it's like repairing like old electronics. So something that I've kind of always liked doing, but just with that added time right in the day, you're able to just do a little bit more.
Thank you for sharing things that you do just for you, like fixing old technology, old electronics. You totally have that tech mind with all of your tech experience in life. And I just want to mention too that for anybody listening that struggles with making time for themselves, what do you have to say to them, Kyle?
That's a great question, and I guess I'll start with saying there's always time for you. Those who say there is not have made an effort, right, to just keep themselves busy, but you have to understand that at least the day has to end somewhere, and for you to be that high performing individual on the clock, in school, it doesn't have to just be work, internships, right? You have to take care of you outside of it. And you really have to, like, if you have to set your schedule, right, block some time off on your calendar, fine, right? But just have that mindset that I'm going to take care of myself, right? And I think it starts there. And really for, those students, working through university, your courses are just going to get harder, and you're just going to feel, oh, I just have to put in more and more work, and sometimes that's the case. But I always, say work smarter, not harder. And you can maximize your time on the clock, at school in class, without taking away from, your personal time. So it's really just like, I think something that you build over time. You're not just going to start out and have all the answers, but through experience, as you continue to do it, you'll see that, you have much more time available to you than you previously thought.
I also think a very practical tool that's always helped me is calendar blocking. So just like I would make an appointment, just like my time with you today is on my calendar, putting the time with myself on my calendar. That time that's just for me is also a date. It's also an appointment, and I respect that time. So, and if somebody asks me for time, that time is not available because I have committed it to myself. One other quick tip is, I know for me, when things are headed in the negative realm, when I am feeling overworked, stressed, burdened, I get very clear emotional indicators first. I don't just suddenly feel horrible and like I haven't done anything great for myself in a year. It's little by little, incremental. And for me, I'll start to feel a little bit of frustration towards somebody, or a little bit of resentment, and even some slight anger starts to creep up. So I know once I'm working on something and I start to go up this frustration, resentment, anger thing, something has to change. Like something is not right. And almost always I'm not putting enough time to taking good care of myself. Kyle, how would you summarize your message if we were going to put it all in a nice little package here to deliver to the audience? What is your message in a sentence?
I'd say, take care of you so you can take care of everything else. And just remember that there's always time for you, even if there feels like there isn't. You can carve out some personal time for you. And if you feel like something is consuming you too much, it's always okay to take a step back. You
Right.
know, it's not that you're throwing in the towel or anything, but you're just respecting that you've come to a point, right, that I just need a little break, right?
Absolutely. And I was about to ask you too, if you had to put your message on a t-shirt, what would it say? But I feel like you said it, which is there's always time for you. I feel like
Mhm.
that would be a great t-shirt message. Do you agree?
I agree. I agree. I think like maybe I'd put like a list of like things like you're doing, like like full time, like parent, like friend, whatever, like your work stuff, and then on the back it just would say like there's always time for you. Just
Awesome.
so you
Awesome.
remember, despite all that, you still matter.
One more question for you, Kyle. If you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self for 15 seconds, so you only have 15 seconds, what do you say? And now 18 wasn't that long ago for you, and you're in your early 20s, but you've lived a lot since freshman year of college, right? A lot has happened in your life. What do you say to 18-year-old Kyle?
Always be present, and focus on what matters most. And really that's it. I think you can't look too far in the future, right, because things are out of your control, but you can control the now. You can't change the past. And I think if you have that mindset and you just have that on that like that just on that focus, right, to find that a thing that just makes you whole, I think everything else will fall into place.
Awesome. And allowing ourselves to spend some time searching for it.
Agreed, agreed for sure. It's very important, and many of us don't, just because we have this a vision, right, of how it should be. But life is, many things, and one thing it's not is just consistent, right? Things always change, and it's okay, to have a plan and for it to not, boil down to that, like that end all be all goal that you had before, a few years ago, because you're a different person now, right? And you've grown and you changed. So you have to respect that.
Resiliency, flexibility, adaptability, these are all hugely important traits that we need to be successful, to be happy, and honestly, to just survive. So, thank you so much, Kyle, for a relevant and timely message about boundaries, healthy boundaries, taking good care of ourselves, especially when we are in these work from home scenarios.
Thanks so much for having me. I really think your course, your leadership course, changed so much for me and really helped me as a professional. And I do, when I look back at the good times in college, that was definitely one of them. And I thank you so much for all of your effort and, to be doing this, right? Because I think it's really important for students to, just have those examples. And I really appreciate you considering me for this series.
Oh,
Thank you.
hands down, not a problem at all. One of the people in the forefront of my mind. And I have to tell you, Kyle, you did something for me that to this day has been one of the most powerful moments of my teaching career. And you came up to me one day, and I don't know if you remember this, but you said, no matter what happens, never stop doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is meaningful and can change lives. And even when I think about it now, I get a little choked up, not gonna lie, because it's just such a powerful feeling that really resonated with me. So just want to say thank you for being so encouraging to me, even back then when we first met.
And I still feel that way. I see all the great things you're doing on LinkedIn, and it's good to know that someone's there for the students.
Appreciate you so much and your time. And it is such a joy for me to be able to see you and to see you smiling here with me today.